I married my daughter's ex-boyfriend. That's not the worst part. The worst part is that I didn't realize he'd chosen me for my bank account until I saw the spreadsheet where he'd budgeted my life insurance payout before I'd even signed the policy. My name is Helena. I'm 52, a nurse, a widow, a mother, and for a few very stupid years, the perfect target for a man who knew exactly how to weaponize loneliness, family drama, and money. This is not a love story. It's a story about how falling for the wrong person nearly destroyed my relationship with my daughter and my financial future, and how a single clause in a prenup I almost didn't sign saved me from paying for that mistake for the rest of my life. When my husband Miguel died, I thought my life had ended too. 25 years of marriage, gone in one phone call from the hospital. I went from we to I overnight. My daughter Inez was 21 then. She was furious at the world and especially at me because grief needs somewhere to land. We argued about everything. Her dropping out of university, her moving in with a boyfriend I'd never met, her saying, "You don't get to tell me how to live when you couldn't even keep Dad alive. You can be a nurse and still be powerless." I didn't meet Rafael, the boyfriend, until months later. He was charming in the way men are when they've practiced in mirrors. Soft voice, expensive watch, big dreams about building something. Ines brought him to dinner one night and they fought in my kitchen about money. She wanted them to move to a cheaper flat. He wanted to invest in some online business. She left in tears. He stayed behind to help with the dishes. "That girl doesn't know what she wants," he said, rinsing plates. "She's lost. You've got direction, strength." I should have thrown him out. Instead, I let his words fill the hole grief had carved in me. 6 months later, Inez and Rafael were over. She found messages, late-night calls, half-truths. She moved back home. He moved to think. A year after that, I was the one dating him. If you're disgusted, good. You're healthier than I was. I told myself it just happened. We'd kept in touch. He'd check in on me, bring food, fix things in the house. My friends said, "Helena, you deserve happiness." I believed them because it felt better than believing I was betraying my daughter. When I told Inez, she looked at me like I'd slapped her. "He used me, and now he's using you," she said. "He wants security, your security." I called her cruel. She called me blind. We didn't speak for months. Rafael, meanwhile, slid deeper into my life. He talked about merging our accounts, buying a bigger house, optimizing my savings. He knew exactly how much I earned, how much I'd inherited from Miguel, and how much my life insurance policy would pay out if anything ever happened. "Just think," he'd say, "we could set up a trust for Inez's future kids, build generational wealth." There's something intoxicating about someone planning your future when you feel like you don't have one. When he proposed, it was on a beach at sunset, with a ring he said was symbolic now, but will upgrade later. I said yes. My lawyer said, absolutely not, without a prenup. "Isn't that unromantic?" I asked. She looked me in the eye. "What's unromantic is going broke for a man your daughter already cried over." My house would remain mine. My savings and existing life insurance were off limits. Any joint assets built after the wedding would be split if we divorced. And one last clause: if either of us was found to have misused the other's funds without written consent, they'd owe double the amount taken, plus legal fees. Rafael balked. "You don't trust me?" "I'm protecting us," I lied. I was protecting me. He signed anyway. Predators always believe they're smarter than the paper. For a while, married life looked fine. He pushed me to buy nicer clothes, nicer wine, nicer everything. "Live a little," he'd say. "What's the point of money if you sit on it?" I noticed more business trips, more late-night calls, more vague explanations about where the rent from the spare room was going. Then one afternoon I came home early and found his laptop open on the dining table. Not unusual. What was unusual was the spreadsheet on the screen. Scenario: Helena 5, We Horizon. There was a column for my salary, my pension, my savings, a line item for sell house, a line for new policy payout, $500,000. In the notes, I read, If she signs the supplemental life insurance, we can leverage for mortgage on new property under my company. I scrolled. Another tab. Post-separation budget. Under income, it listed Helena settlement, estimated $250,000 if prenup invalidated. Property equity, target 50%. Under risks, it said, need to prove contribution/her instability. My hands started shaking. In another folder, I found messages to a friend. Once the house is in my name too, I'm set. Older women with money are the best if you play it long game. Older women with money. I checked our accounts. The joint card had charges I didn't recognize. Hotel bars, jewelry, dinners for two, transfers labeled consulting fees going to his one-man company. The amounts weren't huge individually. Together, they were nearly 20,000 euros in under a year, all taken from the account that received my widow's pension. I printed everything, closed the laptop, and called my lawyer. She listened, then pointed to the clause she'd insisted on. If he used your funds without written consent, she said, he owes double. We can treat this as financial misconduct and push for an annulment or a very favorable divorce. Won't that explode my life? I asked. It already exploded, she said. You're just now seeing the debris. The next days were a blur. We froze the joint account, changed my online banking, filed paperwork quietly. When I finally confronted Raphael, it was in the same kitchen where he'd once washed dishes after a fight with my daughter. I saw your spreadsheet, I said, the one where you budget my death and our divorce. He smiled, then realized I wasn't joking. You're overreacting, he said. It's just planning. You plan to use my money without my consent. That's theft with extra steps, I replied, and I wrote a clause for that. When he understood what double meant, double the unauthorized transfers, double the hidden consulting fees, he flipped. You can't do this to me, he shouted. I gave up years for you. No, I said, feeling strangely calm. You invested in a scam that stopped working the moment I read the fine print. The divorce was nasty. He tried to cry in court, tried to paint me as unstable, tried to say the prenup was unfair. The judge didn't buy it. The documents, his own spreadsheets, his transfers, spoke louder than his tears. In the end, he walked away with nothing but his clothes and his watch. He had to repay every euro he'd misused, doubled, over time. My house stayed mine, my accounts stayed mine. The supplemental life insurance he pushed so hard for? Never signed. My daughter and I are not magically healed. There are scars. She told me, you chose him over me. I told her, I chose my loneliness over you. I won't make that trade again. We're rebuilding. Slowly. I tell this story not because I'm proud, but because shame is expensive, and silence is even more so. Here's what I learned the hard way. If someone is obsessed with how much you're worth, they are probably planning around a version of you that isn't breathing. Love is not a financial plan, and a prenup isn't unromantic. It's a fire exit. You hope you never need it. You're very glad it's there when the smoke rolls in. He thought he'd secured his future by marrying into my past. All he really did was remind me that even widows and mothers get to rewrite their stories, and that the most powerful word in any contract, love or legal, is still no.